Get ready, Staten Island.
The Ferry Hawks are back at SIUH Community Park July 7th to the 12th for a 6-game series against the High Point Rockers. Wednesday, July 8th with first pitch at 6:30. It's Woo Wednesday in collaboration with the Wu-Tang Clan. The Ferry Hawks transform into the Shaolin Hawks. Thursday, July 9th, first pitch is at 6:30. It's Thirsty Thursday with $5 Bud and Bud Light drafts.
Visit ferryhawks.com now to lock in your seats.
In the squadron, they called him Bullets, but we call him Greg Kelly. Greg Kelly is on the air
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
You know, the situation in Maine reminds me of the situation in America in 2024. Joe Biden, remember? Oh, crash and burn to that debate. Real bad. Real bad. 45 seconds in, I knew it was over. I also said 2 years earlier that there's no way that Joe Biden would be the nominee. No way. America's going to see through this at some point. There will be a moment. I don't know when it came or will come, but it came. The debate, June of 2024, right? Very early. Why did they have it so early, by the way? And he crashed and burned, but he tried to say, well, it was just a bad night. Joe Biden, 4 days before he's forced to get out of the race. Remember, you know, he wasn't automatically the nominee. You actually have to have a contest. You have to have a primary. You may remember that as congressman from, I think, Minnesota, the ice cream guy, the gelato guy, very rich man who made his money in gelato, stepped forward and ran against him. And it didn't matter. Joe Biden won with 14 million votes. And you can't just make 14 million votes go away, right? Right, Joe? Cut two.
I'm the nominee of the Democratic Party. I'm the nominee of this party because millions of Democrats like you just voted for me in primaries all across America. You voted for me to be your nominee. No one else. You, the voters did that. And despite that some folks don't seem to care who you voted for, well, guess what? They're trying to push me out of the race. No! Well, let me say this as clearly as I can. I'm staying in the race.
And then he had to quit because they had to talk with him. You know, they talked with him. I don't know. I think it might have been like, anyway, in Godfather 2, when the senator was caught with that prostitute, dead prostitute, right? What are the two things you can't live through in politics? There used to be an adage, if you're finished, if you're found with a dead woman or a live boy. Anything else they can get you out of. But those two things, and the senator was found with a dead woman, and they had pictures and everything like that. Then they owned that senator for forever. I think that they had something a lot on Joe Biden to get him to drop out. And it looks like Plattner is making the same kind of noise right now. And somebody told me today he'll be out by lunchtime. When is lunchtime officially over? Lunchtime means different things to different people. I know some people, actually when I was a kid, lunch started at 11:30 in middle school, junior high school. Some kids had lunch that early. And for others, I don't know. But the people who really follow this stuff tell me he's getting out. I don't know if I accept that. I think he's got some. I think he's going to stick around. And we'll see. But I don't like that the party makes these calls. This is America. We don't have a Politburo, right? And the party isn't the be-all and the end-all. The people are. Joe Biden, for all of his faults, got 14 million votes. And two people forced him out of the race. Three. Hakeem Jeffries, Chuck Schumer, and Nancy Pelosi. And they had to threaten him. Now, one of the threats wasn't so much a threat. Hey, you're going to be embarrassed at the convention. We won't even have one. If you go through with this, we won't have a convention. And, okay, that's going to get his attention. But with a dirty guy like Joe Biden, they had all kinds of means at their disposal to get him out. Now, this guy has nothing, Graham Plattner. He has nothing. You know, when you have nothing to lose. Joe Biden had a lot to lose. All Graham Plattner has is a sob story. Literally, cut one, if you don't mind. Cut one.
I was also diagnosed from PTSD.
Screw this. I can't take the fake tears. I can't take another story about PTSD. Too many of my veteran friends have been using that abbreviation to get out of all kinds of jams. I can't take out the trash. I have PTSD. Shut up. Now, this is the accuser, right? This is the woman who accused Graham Plattner of rape. Do we believe all women? I don't. I think you believe evidence, and she doesn't have a shred of it. She doesn't have a shred of evidence. Is this how we do politics now? That's how Democrats do politics. Christine Blasey Ford and the like. Joe Biden. Doesn't matter. It's up to the party. Let me hear from this woman. Give me the second the second soundbite I sent you. If you don't, no, the first one. Her name is Jasmine. What's her name? Jasmine Rasico. Go ahead and hit it, please, Carlos. Go ahead and press play. Either one.
Normally use protection.
Yeah.
And this time he didn't.
No.
And you didn't want that.
No.
And he didn't care.
No, I don't think my words were falling on deaf ears or drunk ears.
And you were still saying, don't do this, or I'm not into this?
I remember specifically him grabbing at my chest, and I hit his hand and I said, don't touch me. And I remember that during the altercation.
And
specifically.
Then he kept going.
Yeah, and it was this weird mix of coming in and out of, I don't think consciousness is the word, but coming to and kind of falling back into that drunken, I don't know what I'm doing state. And he would apologize in those moments and then go back to doing what he was doing.
So he was aware that he was doing something wrong.
Yeah.
And saying sorry.
I feel like he was. In moments.
Is there any way that he thought this was consensual, or no? Just because...
I don't believe that you can think that that scenario was consensual. You have to understand that wasn't, when somebody is repeatedly... when somebody in the middle of it says, don't touch me, that's obviously not consensual.
Especially if he's apologizing on occasion.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know. This happened to her in 2021, 5 years ago. I don't believe her. I don't believe it. Do you, Carlos? It doesn't even matter. You got to have evidence. And evidence is not texting. Oh, I texted a girlfriend 2 years later and I said he was a jerk. And she said that she agrees with him politically. And that's why this was so difficult for her. I think that's why this is so easy for her. You got this one? Give me the next. This is Jake Tapper, by the way, sat down with this accuser. Go ahead.
I know that you have been very reluctant to tell this story.
Yeah.
Very reluctant. Why
are you saying that, Jake? How do you know?
Why come forward?
A few reasons. One of the biggest ones is that I think that there are a lot of men in this world relying on the silence of women and to be where they are. And I don't want to contribute to that. I also want to just get my life back.
There are going to be people, maybe even his campaign, certainly his supporters, who say this is politically motivated. What would you say to that?
I couldn't disagree more. That was actually one of the reasons that I didn't come out.
Because you agree with his politics.
I do. I really agree with his politics. I think we need somebody with those political stances and who are willing to do the work. And, I see his political videos. They get me fired up as well. I understand why people want someone like him in office. And I felt like me coming forward would potentially take that away. And I felt really uncomfortable with the responsibility and the weight of my story and what that might do.
When people hear this from you,
mm-hmm.
Are you saying you should not vote for him because of what happened?
I'm not going to go as far as to say that. I'm just here to tell my story, to give a clearer picture of who he is and the type of past that he has. And I just think it's fair to the democratic process to let people know who they're voting.
So she said, we need somebody. We need somebody. Anybody who will vote this way, that's who they need. They have internal polling that shows that he could lose. And that's, I believe, why she's saying what she's saying now. It's fascinating. I don't know if you were raped, and you're not supposed to talk like this. Oh, my goodness gracious. How could you know? Well, let me just say this, and not me, but all kinds of people suffer from sexual trauma, not just women. All right? Yeah, it's actually, it's a thing. It's actually a thing. But there's something just wrong about this. This is not America. You got to be able to cross-examine people. You got to be able to say, this doesn't pass the smell test. 1 week before the gosh damn deadline, you come forward with this story. What about all the women who were put at risk, right? You could have put a stop to that. It's funny. She didn't want to make any kind of fuss about it in 2025, but now she's willing to sit down with Jake Tapper, 2021, with Jake Tapper on the news. What would have been easier? Going down to the Maine constable's office or going on the Jake Tapper show? The other thing, she said that the Graham Plattner videos fire her up. They make her interested in politics. I would imagine if a rapist, and I can imagine, I'm sorry, I'm allowed to, I'm a citizen, I'm a person. I don't think I would be listening to the rapist's political message and getting fired up. I think it stinks. I think it's wrong. I think it's un-American. And, well, Joe Biden should have remained on the ballot. Kamala Harris, 0 votes. If they can just do this, that's a problem. Now, Republicans tried to do it to President Trump. You know, they did. And if you don't believe me, just ask, just ask Eric Trump. I just got a glimpse of Michael Cohen. He's back. Michael Cohen, President Trump's former personal lawyer. And I'm learning a lot of things. I think he was a victim. I think rogue prosecutors did horrible things to him and threatened his family. And President Trump is saying, basically welcoming him back into the fold. And if he can do it, I can do it. Hey, one other thing about the Mamdani speech from, cops are being doused with water again, and they're being hit by bullets. And this guy's lecturing America about racism and pretending he's celebrating America on July 4th when he's really denigrating America. The first words out of his mouth when it came to America was this, okay? This is the very first thing he said. Cut 7, if you don't mind. No. Let's see here. Do you guys know what this stuff is? He says a couple of terms here. I have no idea what he means. Cut 6, if you don't mind. Cut 6.
Season after season, year after year, the tides have come in and out of New York Harbor. Long before the name New York had ever been spoken, Lenape dugouts crossed these currents.
Lenape who? What? Is that a minor league baseball team? The Lenape dugouts? Apparently, I had to look it up. Dugout is a kind of boat that the Indians used to use. You dig out a tree. And some people say Lenape Indians. I don't know. He brought it up. He brung it up, as John Travolta might say. And on July 4th, he's talking about the Indians. It's the one time a year we can talk about Ben Franklin and Thomas Jefferson. He wants to talk about the Indians. I'm looking live right now at Ankara, Turkey. Never been to Turkey. I don't know too much about Turkey. I know a little bit about, I know Dr. Oz has ancestors there. And I also saw a movie called Midnight Express. Have you ever seen that movie? Oh, man, it is entertaining as hell. It's a movie from the 70s, early 80s maybe. And the guy from Long Island goes to Turkey and tries to bring marijuana back home. And this stuff still happens today. You get caught with marijuana in some of these countries, bam, you're finished. President Trump is there live right now. He's there for the NATO summit. And I'm sick of the NATO, to be honest, NATO. All of our big wars and all of our small wars, you know what they give us? Token support. Token. It's ceremonial. And right now we're threatening to bolt Europe. We're going to take a third of our troops out if they don't shape up. Hey, look at those nifty outfits on those guys. You know what they look like? The Tidy Bowl men. I'm sorry. Wow. Is that the Turkish army? They're blue suits with little white caps, blue suits, white caps, light blue. And the other guys look like Beefeater from the Jinn. Beefeater Jinn, if you know that guy. We'll be right back.
This summer, unforgettable driving in a Mercedes-Benz from Mercedes-Benz of Edison. Join me Friday, July 10th at 12 noon, where I will be hosting my show live from Mercedes-Benz of Edison. I'm excited to see my friend and GM Doug Wells and the entire staff. Mercedes-Benz of Edison is committed to making your shopping experience stress-free. That's one reason they were named the 2026 Mercedes-Benz Dealer of the Year by Cars.com. Visit Mercedes-Benz of Edison and meet me, Greg Kelly. See you soon.
Greg Kelly on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
I am very excited to be talking to Michael Cohen. I like that he's back in the fold. I like it. You know, it's Christ-like of President Trump to forgive and to understand and to see what was really going on with Michael Cohen. Look, I liked him before all this stuff, and I like him now. I would never talk to him, quite frankly, if President Trump hadn't given the okay, but he has. And if he can look past it, I can look past it. And I want to know more because I do believe he was a victim. Hold on a second. Let's take a quick phone call. Who's this? Greg on line one. Is your name Greg, like mine?
Yes, it is. It's Mr. Positive, Mr. Kelly.
Oh.
How are you, sir?
Oh.
Hey, I've got to ask you, the zeitgeist where socialism is taking control of our country, what do you think is the cause of it, and do you think it will usurp capitalism going forward?
No, of course not. No. They're not going to win. They're not going to win. No way. But I'm going to say one thing about what's brought it on. You know, 20-somethings to 30-somethings, if you really think about it, they've been screwed over. It's very easy for me to point my finger at them and say, oh, they're ignorant. Oh, they're lazy. Oh, they're stupid. A lot of them have been dealt a nasty kind of hand of cards by the government, by circumstances. The 2008 financial crash, right? 2 stupid wars that went on forever. No end in sight. We didn't win. These crazy college debts that they're assuming. The rise of the screen. They're antisocial. They're having less sex than any generation before. I could see them losing hope. I wish they would turn to God, not communism. And ultimately, I hope they will. But Greg, I guess I'm Mr. Positive on this one. Greg, thank you. Let's try very quickly. Now, there's the music. All right. So, the moment has arrived. Michael Cohen is on deck. President Trump's former personal attorney, who is now talking to the president once again. And nobody forgives like President Trump. It's very inspiring, actually. Too many people walk around with grudges, and it ultimately hurts the grudge holder. All right, so let it go. Michael Cohen, welcome to WABC. He is with me momentarily.
Greg Kelly, entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Wow. Michael Cohen. Amazing to see you.
It's really good to see you, my friend. It has been a while. Let's just say it's more than a day.
It's been a long time, but you know what? Look, again, Michael Cohen, you've been through hell. I love that the President of the United States, Donald Trump, you and he are on good terms. And that's enough for me. Look, I saw you, and there was a lot of fake information and disinformation. I saw you as an enemy of Trump and me as a huge supporter and friend of Trump. You know, it was game on, as you know.
I do.
I always tried to keep it. I mean, not always tried to keep it. I was always truthful. There's a lot I know. There's a lot I don't know. You know what I mean?
Well, that's unfortunately with most people in America. It's why my show on Sunday, when you know, you know. This misinformation, disinformation, malinformation that's out there, it travels faster than the internet.
Interesting. Faster. And the truth, as we know, kind of is still in bed. And there's all that misinformation and lies. I saw you over the years walking through the neighborhood. You get recognized a lot.
A lot.
You are... There's something that
Cardinal
happened.
Dolan is here, and as soon as he walked in, I've known Cardinal Dolan now for many years. A buddy of mine runs the tours over at St. Patty's Cathedral, so we've actually spent some time. He goes, "Oh my God, I know you." Giving me a nice big hug. The whole bit asked me how things were going. Actually gave me a nice little prayer, which I appreciate. He's such a truly good man, and I'll tell you something. There's nothing like a good, solid redemption story in 2026. And that's sort of what I now compare what's going on with the president and myself. And I look forward to the opportunity where I will get a chance to go see him, whether it's in D.C. or wherever it might be, maybe here in New York. I'll get a chance to sit down and to really engage him in a long time because he knows that I've been to hell. He knows I've been to hell not once, but actually twice.
Let me ask you, how many books have you written?
I wrote 2 books.
2 books. Now, one of those books you talked about, and I'm not being aggressive. This is the one thing that it's you must, based on what I read in the book, did you enjoy to some degree the notoriety or at least the being recognized? Because I remember reading somewhere that you wanted that.
Correct.
You wanted fame, and you got it.
So I already had fortune. I was very lucky in my life. I basically retired at the age of 39 before all of this. The only reason I went to go work for Trump is because financially I didn't even need a salary. It was more...
How did you get all your money?
I started out in medical malpractice. I then had an opportunity to purchase one of my clients' fleet of yellow cabs in New York City. I ultimately brought myself up to 56 medallions. 32 of them were in New York and the balance were in Chicago. But the New York medallions ended up increasing in value from my price, which was where I purchased them at about $240,000 per medallion, to $1.4 million a medallion. And I had 32 of those. Something similar happened with Chicago, where I was successful over there. Don't forget, I started in the taxi industry in 1995. Stayed in it till 2002. There are so many stories that have been told. Oh, he was doing things in the taxi. I was a medallion owner after 2002. I was out of the business altogether, and then I started as a partner over at Phillips Nizer, where I was working. So there's so much, as I said, lies that were told about me. But yes, fortune I wasn't in search of. So when people say, oh, you went to work for Trump for money, it's not true. It was the fame. It was the notoriety around truly one of the biggest personalities, one of the most recognizable individuals in the world. In fact, I think there was a report once that he was like number 2 or number 3. You remember who number 1 was, the most recognized and photographed person in the world?
Lindbergh.
Nope. Lady Diana.
Huh. So let me ask you this.
Lindbergh?
Of all time. Of all time. No. Lindbergh was the first mega celebrity ever,
yes.
Outside of politics. All right, so some of this is coming back to me. Let me ask you this. Why did you tape record President Trump when he was getting, I guess you were informing him about the payment that was going to be made through the guy. You ran, and you're a lawyer, and you recorded him, and that became public. Why did you do that?
So it's not the story that you think that it is. It was not done.
But just tell me why, because I don't remember the story.
It was not done as a gotcha. In fact, I almost threw up when I found out that it was still on my phone. I had thought I had deleted it. I nearly threw up all over the lawyer's office when they played it for me. What had happened is there was a payment that was made by David Pecker and the National Enquirer to Karen McDougal. I reviewed the NDA that was done in order to ensure that President Trump, Mr. Trump at the time, was fully protected. He had not been paid back yet, his $160,000. And every single day, I would receive multiple calls from David. Hey, look, I don't want to end up losing my job here. You guys promised to pay me back, promised to pay me back, promised to pay me back. And I was like, right now, he's in the middle of like 20 different things. You're going to get your money back, David, right? I mean, you and Trump have had a relationship for almost as long as I knew David, going back over 30 years, blah, blah, blah. I recorded it to show David so that he would stop bothering me and stop bothering Mr. Trump. I did it in essence to protect Mr. Trump from being bothered. And you know what? It freaking came back to bite me right in the backside. I literally almost threw up. It's the one and only recording of Trump that I had ever done. And I was certain, 100% certain, that I had deleted it. But I guess I didn't.
That's amazing, and it explains a lot. And
nobody talks about that as the story. What they do is they created, he tapes, records everybody. Well, so not true. I recorded other people who were actually trying to either extort Trump or take advantage. Or, by the way, I did it sometimes as a way of taking copious notes so I can go back and prepare.
You did not, I know, but that was not explained by you, I think, until your book, right? Or did you put that in your book?
It's in the book.
Yeah. I mean, you were not in a position where you could come out every step of the way and say, hey, guys, this is why I did it. You could not have told the story.
Nobody cared. It was.
I know, but you could not have. Because it was, right.
There was no platform for me to come out and to explain, because the whole goal was to destroy Trump. And the way that they were going to, they couldn't get to Trump himself. So what do? You go after, like in the movie The Untouchables. They couldn't get to Alphonse Capone. So what did they say? Let's go after the bookkeeper.
Okay. And that makes total sense to me about the recording. And when you turn over your phone to these maniacs, they actually have everything. Everything.
Over 10 million documents of mine.
It's insane. And it should be illegal. Alan Dershowitz actually says that the founding fathers knew about the cell phone. There's no way they would allow this thing to be searched. It's like your brain. It's like your brain.
I guess this thing happened at the wrong time then.
Yes, indeed. So look, let me ask you this. So there were a lot of times I saw you on MSNBC particularly, and you had a lot of very brutal things to say about President Trump's character. Now, I understand the legal pressure you were under, but some of that stuff seemed to have nothing to do with your legal situation, and you were just kind of stepping into the role of an anti-Trump pundit, and you were given extra credibility because of your previous association. So why did that happen?
Yeah, so not exactly what I was doing. Not exactly in terms of that I was the anti-Trump, the critic. Yes, what I did is I followed what's known as documentary evidence and corroborating testimony. There was nothing that I gave to the prosecutors or anyone.
I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about look, let's face it. You were pretty nasty and vicious.
Oh, beyond.
But where did that come from? So if you were a victim of lawfare, which I believe you were.
I was.
Why would you say those things about him?
Because all along I was expecting a man who I revered, a man who I was as close to as anybody, to protect me. I was saying to myself, I am caught into this mishigas, as we call it.
And you wanted protection, a pardon or something.
Not a pardon. Whatever. Maybe a pre-pardon would have been smart on their side, or at least put your arms around me and say, I'm not going to allow the Department of Justice to do this to you, right? I was waiting for the president to turn around and to say, whoa, hold on one second. They're coming after him off of the fake Russia hoax. They're coming after him because they're trying to get to me. But instead, what did they do? They all pushed me under the bus. They including refusing to even compensate the lawyers that were trying to protect him.
Michael, I have to jump in. Because the story is long and elaborate, right? Very long.
Which I plan on talking a lot about on Sunday at my 5:00 show.
Yes, this is official. You're on WABC.
When you know, you know.
But so the nasty, vicious things you were talking about President Trump, saying about President Trump that had nothing to do with a lot of the matters that, Russia hoax and that kind of thing. You were saying those things because you were bitter,
angry.
Were you making things up, or
No.
what were you expressing how you really feel? Because you called him a racist, you called him a liar. I mean, you called him a lot of things.
Wait, hold on a second. Look at what he had called me as well. What I was doing. If you turn around and you imagine with his 60 million followers, when you start putting things out like Michael is a rat, let me say this. A lot of bad things were said. I apologize for the things that I said. He also is unhappy with the way that our relationship turned out, not because of the way we wanted it, but unfortunately, when you are stuck in a situation as we were, it was really no holds barred. And I'm thankful. I'm thankful that chapter for me is over, that I'm looking to the future now where we can reconcile all of these negative feelings that were had and the negative things that were said. I know a lot of people are going to turn around and say, you had said so many terrible things about him over the years and so on. Yeah, he had also said some pretty horrible things about me as well.
You were talking to the authorities, it seemed like.
I wasn't talking to the authorities, Greg, because I wanted to.
You had subpoenaed. But there are ways
subpoenaed.
Michael, there are ways of dealing with a subpoena. Look,
that's if you have the people behind you who want to protect you from the subpoenas. I had no one.
You had lawyers.
You
had lawyers.
I did have a lawyer, yes. I had lawyers.
And so, look, he perceived that you were, his word, a rat, right? You just told me, like he put that in the thing. He perceived that, and there was some reason to perceive that. That's what everybody was saying, right? A lot of people, or the impression...
Wrong.
Michael, the impression was, excuse me, Michael.
But somebody calls
you have to listen to me now.
But that's not right.
Well, no, Michael, you see the universal perception, and he had it, was that you were singing to the feds. Now, that may be wrong, but it was a reasonable idea to have circa 2018, 2019. Fair enough?
No.
Everyone's saying this stuff, Michael.
Not everyone. The far right was saying it, and unfortunately, that became the conversation. Nobody in the center, nobody to the left.
That was the conversation.
Yes,
that is how people felt, and that's what made you a hot commodity.
Yes, very hot commodity.
So President Trump responds in kind to the caller just mentioned the word zeitgeist. That was in the zeitgeist.
Yes, it was.
That you were singing, right? It may be wrong.
It's wrong.
By the way, the common knowledge, the conventional wisdom is almost always wrong, right?
Yes.
But that was and he called you what everybody else was kind of saying. It was in the air. You go and turn around and call him a racist. Now, that was not actually, some people accused him of that. Why did you use that word? Because there was a time, and it doesn't matter anymore, and it doesn't. Like, if everything's racist, nothing is racist. Correct. You know what I mean? Why did you choose that? Why did you call him that?
This, what you're referring to, is in my book, Disloyal, which I wrote while I was in prison. And while I was sitting there rotting in this prison under some pretty horrible circumstances, the worst thoughts come to your mind, and I just put them on paper. That's really what it was. I went ahead and I started thinking of all of the worst things that I could possibly say. And I wrote the book.
But you said them on TV as well.
I did follow up because they were quoting the book.
So you kept that. You kept that with you. I mean, the bitterness was there.
The bitterness was there. It most certainly was. You're away from your family. You lose your fortune. You lose your family's happiness.
Your contention is you didn't. I'm picking up that you did not lie. Correct?
I did not.
Did you lie about calling President Trump a racist?
Look, I don't want to get into things that I said. Greg, I hear you. And
Michael, there's going to be a little bit of this. There's going to be a little of this.
They can ask me whatever. there's so much that was said on both sides of the aisle here. I'm trying to put that part past me. I'm trying to move forward. I have been fortunate enough to get the forgiveness of the president, and I want to move forward on that. I don't want to start going back to every single thing. There were things that you said about me, my friend.
We can
many things.
Revisit. By the way, I'm glad you saw it.
You know, there's.
Michael,
by the way, I most certainly did.
Michael,
people,
hold on a second. No.
Do you believe that? Do you believe the things that you said about me?
Well, we can relitigate that
if you wish.
You do remember that walk we had across the Brooklyn Bridge.
Brooklyn Bridge, I sure do.
And we had a conversation, but we can revisit that.
People say things out of multiple reasons.
But here's
one out of anger, one out of circumstance.
Michael, though, may I? Because you say you want to dwell on the future, but you
I want to move to the future.
Move to the future, but you are spring-loaded to go into extreme detail about what the prosecutors did. No, that's wrong. You love talking about the case, the intricacies of the case, how everybody has it wrong. If you and I could probably talk about the prosecutors, I think you'd be very happy doing that. And Damian Williams and all those people at the SDNY, you would talk about that and how you were victimized. But you will not talk about some of the things you said, and those are also from the past. So there's a little bit of a contradiction there.
There's a major contradiction. Unfortunately, as I said, what ultimately happens is people sometimes say things out of anger. They say things out of circumstance. They say things in order to, make yourself feel better. As I sat there in Otisville.
Totally understand that. But if you want to say, like,
I've already apologized, by the way, to the president about it.
I only want to talk about the future, but it's all on the table right now. It should be. Michael Cohen is with us. His show is Sunday at 5 p.m. Stay with me, all right?
Sure.
Come on, man. We're just clearing the air a little bit. Michael, I am happy for you. I think you're a victim of lawfare, and I am genuinely happy for you. And yes, if the president can forgive you,
my hope is that everybody else can as well.
It's amazing thing what you see in life. You know what I mean? I never would have anticipated this, and I'm glad it's happening.
And interesting, Cardinal Dolan said the same thing.
I stand by Cardinal Dolan, a great man. We'll be right back.
Greg Kelly, entertaining and informative
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
All right, we're back with Michael Cohen, the former lawyer to President Trump, personal lawyer, and the current friend of President Trump. These guys are building it back. They had a great relationship, and I think it's kind of inspiring in a way. If these two guys can figure out a way to be friends again and forgive and maybe forget or not forget, forgiveness, that's the important part. I think anybody... it's inspiring, Michael. It's inspiring. It's beautiful on both of your parts, the president's and yours. When is your show on, and what's the best way for people to listen on the radio? You can listen online. Tell us a little bit about your show. What is it called, and what's it going to be like?
So the show is called When You Know, You Know, because, again, there's so much misinformation, disinformation, malinformation out there, and not just specifically about me, not just specifically about the president, just about everything. It's amazing how we could live in one universe, and yet the conversation that takes place on both sides of the aisle to the extremes are so contradictory. They're so polar opposite.
Have nothing to do with reality.
Zero. And I hope to be able to tell and to bring the truth and the facts based upon my firsthand knowledge and experience.
If you've ever been in the middle of a story, and you've been in the middle of a lot, I've been in the middle of a couple, and I know of a couple, it's wild what the truth is and what they say actually happened. It's almost laughable. At times it's just tragic. Michael Cohen, I wish you the best of luck. Social media?
Social media going to be everywhere. WABC is pushing it out everywhere, so make sure 5 o'clock p.m. join me. When you know, you know.
Michael Cohen, good luck. Stay in touch.
Thanks for listening to The Greg Kelly Show. You can hear The Greg Kelly Show weekdays at 12:15 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
Anyone can sell electronics. At Electronics Expo, they do more than sell products. They design, install, and support complete technology solutions. From home theaters and whole home audio to lighting, shades, automation, networking, security cameras, and premium entertainment systems. For over 22 years, they've helped thousands of homeowners experience technology at its very best. See the difference for yourself. Visit their Wayne or Paramus stores in New Jersey or shop now at electronicsexpo.com.